So part of being self-sufficient is learning new things. Now, this isn't necessarily a homesteading video, but I work at an RV dealership and I know how to winterize campers. So if you have a camper, this could save you a couple $100 this year. So this morning we're in a small Amerilite 21 foot. It's a pretty basic winterization, so you should be able to get the gist of it. Some of the bigger fifth wheels are going to be a lot more complex. There's going to be ice makers, there's going to be washer dryer preps, there's going to be sewer flushes, and a whole bunch of other things. But this is just a basic unit to show you the general idea of how this is going to work. To start off with, you're going to need a couple of gallons of winter RV antifreeze. This is -50. You should only need a couple of gallons for a small unit like this. Like I said, some of the bigger fifth wheels, you'll probably need more than that. You're going to need a small container, coffee can, something just to get the water out of the system with. You're either going to need 1 1/16" or a 1-inch socket to drain the hot water heater. Of course, paper towels, because you're going to make a mess. If the unit doesn't have a pump bypass, you're going to need either a 1/2-inch thread, or some of the newer units are coming in with these quick disconnects to the pump. So you may need one of these if there's no bypass. So to start off with, we're going to put the unit in bypass. This does actually have a freshwater tank bypass. So we're going to bypass that by turning this valve, which is going to allow me to suck the antifreeze out of this hose here. We're now going to go drain the tank outside. Usually, if you look around, they'll have the tank fill on the outside of the camper. The drain is usually located somewhere underneath the unit right below where you fill it. If the unit doesn't have this bypass, you're going to need to find the water pump. That's what we're going to be using these hoses for. To find the water pump, the easiest way is to turn the water pump switch on. Listen for it. It's behind here somewhere. There it is. This unit has one of the quick disconnects. So you'll be able to take and pull this tab up, pull the suction pipe out. There it is. Then you'll take your section of hose and clip that right into the pump. And push the blue tab back down. You'll then be able to use this hose to siphon up through for your antifreeze. Now that we have the water pump bypassed and we have the hose ready to siphon the antifreeze into the unit, it's time to find the hot water heater to be emptied. So, usually on the outside, go around the unit. This is the hot water heater right here. We're going to release the pressure. Pull out the anode rod. So this has a Suburban hot water heater which uses 1 1/16" to remove this anode rod. The Atwood hot water heaters will use a single plastic plug kind of over on the side. Now it's time to find the back of the hot water heater to put this unit in bypass. We know that it's in the back corner, so we're going to head inside and go to the back corner of the unit, which I've already pulled out the paneling for the bunk beds. And back here is going to be the hot water heater bypass. So this unit has 2 levers that we're going to need to flip. We're going to need to flip this one here. And there's a second one way down here. What this does is, instead of the cold water coming in and going into the tank, coming back out and back through the hot line, we've bypassed it, which means it's going to go through this loop and back out and keep the antifreeze out of the hot water tank, so we're not using an extra 6 gallons of antifreeze. All right, we're ready to start removing water from the system. So now that we have the pump bypassed, the hot water heater bypassed, we're going to turn the freshwater pump on. And we're going to use the pressure that that's trying to build to blow out all of the water in the unit. The reason why we're using this is so we're not pouring water down the drains and putting water in a tank that could be empty down below. That way the black tank or the gray tank won't split later on when things freeze. One of the most missed and biggest problems is actually the toilet. You want to make sure you get the water blown out of that the best you can. And we want to run extra antifreeze through the toilet. The valves always seem to go if you don't put lots of antifreeze. After that, I'll do a quick walk around the outside, making sure that there's no outdoor showers or any surprises. Looks like we're all set with this one. We are now ready for antifreeze. So using either the bypass that you found or using the hose that you've connected to your pump, we're going to take and put that into our jug of antifreeze and start pumping antifreeze through the lines. So we're just going to go around, open up both hot and cold sides. Make sure you have nice pink antifreeze coming through, no water in it. There shouldn't be much water left in it because you've blown all that out previously. I'll take a second jug that doesn't have as much in it. We'll actually pour that back in. Onto the next sink. As I was doing the shower, I hear the pump running non-stop. Usually it's supposed to build pressure. That means I'm out of antifreeze. So using the jug that I've been switching back and forth to, I'm now going to take and swap them out. We're ready to continue. So the last step in pumping the antifreeze through this unit is actually one that a lot of people don't think about, which is the city fill. In order to do that, we're going to take and shut the water pump off. We're going to go to a sink and just kind of crack it open a little bit. That's going to release the pressure in the lines. And the reason why we do that is in the city fill, which is located over here. You're going to take and pop this cover off, pull the screen out, and inside there's a little check valve. We're actually going to depress that. That's going to let antifreeze pop out of there. We should be all set. Now it's time to take and recover the antifreeze. If you don't release the pressure in the unit, you can actually break this little check valve in here, and then you'll be replacing your whole city fill. Now that we have all the lines full of antifreeze, we have everything full, we're going to take our hose out of our antifreeze. And we're going to do the same exact step that we went through before with the pump. And we're now going to pump the antifreeze back out of the line. The reason we do this is for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's going to get all the antifreeze back out of your lines. Antifreeze will still freeze. It's going to have to get very cold to do that, but sometimes it does happen. The other reason why we do this In the spring, when you go to flush out your system with water, you're gonna have a lot less antifreeze. And if you've ever left a unit with antifreeze in it, you know that it smells and it takes a long time to finally get the pink out of the system. By doing this, you're gonna actually take all of it out of the system. That way, when you hook up in the spring, you should start getting nice clean water sooner rather than later. As I'm recovering, at this point, I'll take and pour about a half of one of these down each drain. That'll prevent any water that was in the drain from freezing and force that down into the tanks, diluting it with some antifreeze also. All right, so we started off with bypassing the system. Then we took and blew out all the water using the water pump. From there, we filled all the lines using the water pump and then recovered all of the antifreeze using the water pump again. Then we filled all of our traps with antifreeze. Now we're ready to turn all the bypasses back into summer mode. That way when you hook the water up in the spring, you're gonna be filling the system with fresh water, and any antifreeze that is left in the lines, which isn't much because we've recovered it, is going to be just a small amount of antifreeze coming out in the spring, and you should get nice clean water fast. The last step, locating the low point drains. As you walk along the outside of the camper, there should be two lines sticking out of the bottom of the unit. Right here. There's going to be a red and a blue. You're going to take and loosen these, drain out any antifreeze or water that's caught in these. Put the caps back on. Every camper is not going to be the same. This was a simple basic unit. It'll at least give you a general idea of how it goes. So hopefully this helped you out. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below and I might be able to help you out. But thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll hopefully get some more videos out to you soon.